On a handful of islands in Indonesia, more than once, a search party has cut open a giant python and found a missing person inside, whole, still dressed. It isn't a legend and it isn't rare anymore. It's been filmed and the police have confirmed it. Most snakes want nothing to do with you. They feel your footsteps coming through the ground and they're gone long before you ever see them, because to a snake, a human is far too big to eat and far too dangerous to fight. But a few snakes never got that message. Some are simply aggressive enough to come straight at you when you get too close. And a rare few are big enough and bold enough to look at a grown adult and see a meal. These are 6 snakes that hunt humans, counting down from the ones that will openly attack you to the one that will actually swallow you whole. We start in the forests of southern Asia with one of the most dangerous snakes on the planet. The king cobra is the longest venomous snake in the world. Most of them grow to around 10 to 13 feet, but the longest one ever reliably measured stretched more than 18 feet, caught in Malaysia back in 1937. And length is only half of what makes it frightening. A big king cobra can lift the front third of its body clean off the ground, which means it can rear up and look a grown person dead in the eye before it decides what to do next. Its venom kills by switching the body off from the inside. It floods the nervous system and affects the muscles you breathe with, one after another, until the lungs simply quit. Drop for drop, it isn't even the most toxic venom out there. What the king cobra has instead is volume. A single bite can pump in close to a full gram of venom, enough to kill several people at once. And in the worst cases, a victim can be dead within half an hour. So it sounds like the perfect manhunter, but the king cobra almost never turns that power on people. It doesn't even want to eat mammals. Its main prey is other snakes, including venomous ones. And that towering, hood-flared pose it's famous for is mostly a warning, one last chance to back off before it has to strike. There is one real exception, and it's a strange one. The king cobra is the only snake on Earth that builds a nest for its eggs, gathering up a mound of leaves and guarding it. And a female sitting on that nest becomes genuinely dangerous. She'll hold her ground, and she'll advance on anything that comes near. That's the one time the chasing is real. These snakes are so committed to their eggs that in 2021, a female in captivity, one that had never been anywhere near a male, produced healthy babies entirely on her own, in the first confirmed virgin birth ever recorded for the species. When king cobras do kill people, it's almost always someone handling them. In 2016, an Indonesian singer named Irma Bule was bitten on stage during a performance with a live cobra, and she died soon after. A zookeeper in southern India was killed while cleaning an enclosure. But across India, where more people share ground with king cobras than anywhere on Earth, only 3 deaths have ever been formally documented in the country's entire recorded history. It earns its place with sheer size and intimidation, not with a body count. That's number 6. From the forest floor, we head out into the open ocean. Out on the coral reefs of the Indo-Pacific live some of the most venomous animals on the planet, and unlike almost every other snake, a few of them will boldly approach humans. For decades, scuba divers on Australia's Great Barrier Reef came back with the same unsettling story. A sea snake would appear out of nowhere, race straight at them, wrap around an arm or a leg, and if the diver tried to swim off, it would give chase. It behaved exactly like a predator hunting down prey. The real explanation turned out to be far stranger than that. A researcher named Tim Lynch spent more than 250 hours underwater, sitting motionless on the seabed, watching olive sea snakes do this over and over. What he found is that the snakes weren't hunting at all. They were males. It was breeding season, and they were lovesick and confused. A male that had lost track of a female or just been chased off by a rival would sometimes mistake a diver for another snake. Swimming away only made things worse because a fleeing shape looks precisely like a female or rival trying to escape. And that mistake is not one you want a sea snake to make while it's coiled around your arm, because it carries some of the most potent venom in the ocean. The sea snake that truly kills people is deadlier still. It's the beaked sea snake, and its victims are almost always fishermen. They haul a net up out of murky water, and somewhere in the tangle of thrashing fish is a snake whose venom both attacks the nerves and dissolves muscle from the inside out. It's responsible for the majority of all sea snake deaths, and in one regional survey, more than half of the recorded bites were fatal. The only reason the toll isn't far worse comes down to a quirk of anatomy. Sea snakes have short fangs and they meter their venom carefully, so most bites on a struggling human come out dry, with little or no venom delivered at all. Take a full dose though, out on the water, and there may be no hospital close enough to save you. One last thing about these animals before we leave the sea. They've been recorded diving down to around 800 feet, deeper than any other reptile on record. That's number 5. Now we go back to dry land, to the savannas of Africa. No snake in Africa is feared like the black mamba, and almost none has a reputation to match it. One of the fastest snakes alive, long as a car, with a bite. People once believed nobody could survive. The reality is nearly as unsettling. It's one of the deadliest snakes on the continent, and everything about how it kills is built for speed. The venom is ferocious. It takes only about 15 milligrams to kill an adult, and a single mamba bite can deliver several hundred, many times over a lethal dose. And it can deliver that dose again and again in one furious burst of strikes. Left untreated, the bite kills within hours, and sometimes in well under one. The toxins go straight for the nervous system, and a serious bite can leave a victim slurring, drooping, and fighting for breath within minutes, the body failing one piece at a time. The snake isn't even named for its body, which is usually a dull olive gray. It's named for the inside of its mouth, which is ink black, and it gapes that black mouth open as a final warning right before it commits. This is a nervous, high-strung animal, and a cornered one defends itself instantly, striking several times in the space of a second or two before it slips away. And it's a long snake, big enough to rear up and land those strikes well off the ground at the height of a grown person's chest. It doesn't take much. In 2008, a young safari guide in training was bitten during a snake handling lesson in South Africa, and he was dead soon after. In the places where it lives, people learn early to watch where they step and where they reach, and to give any long, fast, gray snake a very wide berth. That's number 4. From the grasslands of Africa, we cross the ocean to the rivers of South America. The green anaconda is the heaviest snake on Earth. The most trustworthy measurements we have come from one biologist, Jesus Rivas, who has caught and measured more than 1,000 of them in the wild over the course of his career. His largest was a female, just over 17 feet long and 215 pounds, as thick through the middle as a grown man's waist. It hunts by ambush, lying in the shallows of a slow river with only its eyes and nostrils breaking the surface, holding perfectly still, waiting for something to come down to drink. For a long time, people assumed a snake like this kills by slow suffocation, squeezing tighter and tighter until the prey can't draw a breath. That is not what happens. In 2015, a team wired up prey animals to measure exactly what constriction does to a body, and the answer was far faster and far darker than anyone had guessed. Within about 6 seconds of the coils tightening, blood pressure crashes to half of normal, the heart is starved of blood in under a minute. It isn't suffocation at all, it's circulatory arrest, and the bones usually aren't even broken. It's less like being crushed and more like a switch being flipped to off. A big anaconda is easily strong enough to kill a grown person, and it has come close. Rivas has had 2 of his own field assistants attacked in the water. One got free, only because the coils tore her trouser leg instead of her skin. The other he pulled loose in the last seconds, before the snake could take her beneath the surface. The intent was there both times, unmistakably. What's strange is that no one has ever documented a green anaconda actually killing and eating a person. The giant that swallows a man whole still belongs, for now, to legend and to firelit expedition tales. But every biologist who works with them says the same thing. The animal is more than capable of killing you. It just hasn't been caught doing it. And those 30 and 40-foot monsters from the old stories, nobody has ever produced a verified specimen anywhere close to that size. Even experienced observers are hopelessly bad at guessing. On one expedition, a coiled anaconda was estimated at up to 60 feet. When they finally stretched it out and measured it, it was 19. In fact, the giant snake that most people online insist is the biggest anaconda ever, a 25-footer named Medusa, isn't an anaconda at all. It's a different species entirely, and it's the snake this whole countdown has been climbing toward. That's number 3. Back across to Africa now, to a snake that has, without any doubt at all, killed. The African rock python is the largest snake on the African continent, reaching close to 20 feet. Like the anaconda, it's a constrictor, so it kills the same way, shutting the blood flow down in seconds. And then it does the thing the venomous snakes never do. It swallows its prey whole. Its lower jaw is split into 2 halves that aren't fused together, so each side can walk forward on its own, one at a time, slowly working the mouth around something far wider than the snake's own head. Footage from Botswana once captured a rock python swallowing an entire impala over about 45 minutes. This is also a famously bad-tempered animal. One herpetologist describes rock pythons as defensive from the moment they hatch. They come out of the egg striking, and unlike the anaconda, this snake has a confirmed human kill on the record, written up in a scientific journal with an autopsy behind it. In November of 1979, in the Waterberg region of South Africa, a 13-year-old herd boy named Johannes Makau was out chasing cattle when a python struck from the long grass and seized him. By the time the village elders reached the spot, roughly 20 minutes later, the snake had him completely wrapped. One man dislocated his own shoulder trying to pry the coils loose with a pickaxe. They finally drove the python off with thrown stones, but the boy was already gone, and the saliva on his head showed the snake had begun trying to swallow him. It was interrupted. Barely. Now the part worth being honest about, because it matters. The single story that made this snake infamous around the world, a boy supposedly swallowed whole in the South African city of Durban in 2002, and reported by major outlets including the BBC, appears to be a hoax. A South African snake expert looked into it and found there had been no missing boy, no body, and no snake. The children had made the entire thing up, and the story raced around the globe anyway. The other confirmed deaths come from captivity, from pets. In 2013, in New Brunswick, Canada, 2 young brothers were killed in their sleep by a captive rock python that escaped through the ceiling from a reptile store below their apartment. Years earlier, a pet python killed a 3-year-old boy in Illinois. But out in the wild, no rock python has ever been confirmed to fully swallow a person. Its attacks look opportunistic, a snake lashing out at whatever wandered too close to its ambush, rather than a hunter that set out to eat a human being. That's number 2. Which leaves one snake on a cluster of islands in Indonesia that erases every last shred of doubt. The reticulated python is the longest snake in the world, the longest one ever verified in the wild, a female certified only recently, measured just under 24 feet. In captivity, they grow longer still, all the way up to that 25-foot python named Medusa, the same snake so many people mistake for a giant anaconda. To swallow a grown adult, a python needs to be around 20 feet, and the real obstacle isn't the length, and it isn't even the head. It's getting the jaws past a human's shoulders. Every other snake on this list came with an asterisk, a reputation bigger than the record, or a killer that never actually meant to eat you. The reticulated python has no asterisk. It is the only snake anywhere with a repeated filmed, police-confirmed record of killing and swallowing grown adults whole, and almost all of it comes from one place: the island of Sulawesi in Indonesia. The case that proved it to the world came in March of 2017. A 25-year-old man named Akbar Salubiro went missing in West Sulawesi and never came home. When villagers searched the next day, they found a swollen python lying nearby. They cut it open, and Akbar was inside, whole, still fully dressed, with a wound on his back. It was the first time in history that a snake killing and eating an adult human had been completely confirmed, and it was filmed and carried around the world by the BBC, Reuters, and the New York Times. It was not the last. The very next year, on a nearby island, a 54-year-old woman named Watiba went out one evening and never returned. They cut open a python found near her home, and she was inside. In 2022, it was a woman in her 50s named Jara who vanished on the island of Sumatra. In 2024 alone, it happened at least 3 more times, all on Sulawesi. One expert estimates the country now loses roughly 1 person a year this way. And it isn't always a snake driven to it by starvation. A landmark study of the Agta people, hunter-gatherers in the Philippines who have lived alongside these pythons for generations, found that a full quarter of the men had survived an attack by one at some point in their lives. To a big reticulated python in these forests, a human being simply is prey, the right shape and the right size. That same study recorded one night in 1973 when a python slid into a hut at dusk and killed 2 small children. Their father came home to find the snake swallowing one of them headfirst, and he killed it with a knife in time to save a 3rd child asleep in the same room.